Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
And yeehaw, yeehaw, as we say. And I like our little song. It's hard to say that at the end of that. It kind of catches your attention. And a little late night. I would do that from time to time. I've been working some weird hours, and for me, and so came in last night, and I didn't get in until, oh my goodness, probably 1:30ish. I should just came on the air. I didn't go to bed till about 3:30. So Wi-Fi is not the best tonight. Maybe it'll improve. It does that sometimes. Sometimes I get started and we go good, but if it cancels me, I'll just go to bed. So we'll see if anybody's up. Anybody wants to come in. If not, we'll just sit here and talk about stuff. And we'll be back in the morning with the morning show. Yes, bright and early. Working on some, not a lot of sleep, but that's okay. We'll make up for it in the long run. As the week goes on, lots going on. We're getting closer to the election, as we say. Getting inside that window. Of course, yesterday was the deadline to register to vote in Georgia and Tennessee. For sure, other deadlines will be approaching. We have, I have, I say we, because there are some we, not you, but me and others. We have training this Friday night, getting ready for elections as managers. And okay, Wi-Fi is just all over the place tonight. But we have training that we'll be doing as we get ready for the election to come. So 3 hours of training. I know that was. I appreciate I'm doing it that late on a Friday because most people don't want to do things on Friday, but a lot of people, the way we work, it's really hard to fit in sometimes, and especially with things I've had going on at work. So it's really a blessing to me that we're going to have that. So Friday night or Friday afternoon, I say Friday night, but it kind of goes into the night because it's like 5:30, I think, till about 8:30. And we always do that before the election. So looking forward to meeting up with old friends and sometimes new friends and meeting some of the officials and getting up to speed on things. And then the early voting will be starting, and we're right there at it. Of course, next week, Monday is Columbus Day, and Tuesday will be the official first day of early voting. I was really glad to see, and because I've said, because first of all, it's these storms, and we've got that new hurricane coming in, unfortunately, to Florida, and the great exodus of people fleeing the state, and we'll hope they can find some lodging because lodging is, at a premium. Of course, there was damages around the South, and that's going to impact that as well. Hopefully they'll take a left and go into Alabama and stuff, not go north, because there's going to be areas that are just not, obviously it's not good. And what's there probably by people in that have, they don't have a place to stay. So there's some of those are actually would be looking for housing as well. So the great exodus, and they're trying to get out. So that storm is coming. But what I was going to say is in North Carolina, it was a decision that was made today in North Carolina. And I think it's 6 counties. It may be as many as 8, but I know there are 6 counties for sure that they're going to modify the rules a little bit because they know obviously what they're dealing with, and the election coming. They're going to make sure everybody has an opportunity to vote. And again, lest any, knuckleheads out there want to say, well, that's just a Republican trick and all that. And one of those counties out of that is traditionally been voting Democrat. So they need to do that. They need to make a way. I was concerned about that because, there's no power, there's no roads accessible. So they're going to allow a much later absentee ballot very late. They're going to allow that. They're going to modify some of the locations because to make it easier to assess, they're going to adjust some of the hours. And in some cases, they may be longer, extended, or shorter on some days, depending on what the situation is in those counties. And Buncombe County, which I've always mentioned, that's that Black Mountain area of Western North Carolina. That's where a lot of my family immigrated through. Kind of familiar with that county. Did a lot of research at one time. It's one of those right in the heart of that county. But there's several counties surrounding up in the hills there in the rural areas that they will do this for, and I think so. And I would say that they need to look at. They need to look at into Tennessee. Maybe there's so much devastation, but we'll see. But certainly there, certainly in that location. And I'm glad as a voter and as a poll worker in the election, it makes me feel good about that. So I was concerned about it. First of all, again, we're not putting that ahead of life and homes and all those things, but these folks deserve a right to vote, and they can't help what's happened. And there's a lot of loss of life. And there's a great article, by the way. I don't know if you subscribe to the Epic Times. I am a subscriber at the Epic Times, and there's actually a couple articles, and this was one of the articles was that about the changing of those rules there. But there was another article, and I'm not sure if it's on the front page now, but there's another article at the Epic, and I'll see if I can get it pulled up here in a minute. That was very good as well. That they were covering about the devastation, and it really put in perspective. And this was in the area of Asheville, and I'm glad that they covered it because it's just horrible. So I was going to see if I could find that. I don't have that set up on my phone exactly, so let me pull it up and go to the Epic Times here, and I just want to reference it for you. I'm not going to bore you about because a lot of it is going to be about the hurricane. But there was I got it in my email, so I may have to pull it back up through there and just find it that way. But it has pictures, and I wanted to give you the title of it if you've not seen that. Again, you probably have to be a subscriber. A lot of times at the Epic Times, if you will give your email, you can get a few free articles. And if you really want to it's hard to read, but it does give you a kind of an idea of what's going on there. So we'll get over here in my email and look it up. I just want to talk about a little bit about that article. Because first of all, there was, like any city, they have a pretty good sized homeless population. And where a lot of those homeless people were, they were down by the river. And so a lot of those were swept away. We know those numbers are going to rise. It's just officially over 200. But in this article, which I knew a lot, I felt like it would be, much more than 1,000, but if this person knows what they're talking about, people on the ground there would tell them it would be in the thousands. And, that's something to kind of get your attention right there. There's places, there's no water. They've used up all the water. They're having to truck in thousands of gallons of water a day, and there's no water for showers. This is just for, just to be able to do some cooking, to do and the hospital suffering. People have got buckets and stuff for flushing of toilets, trying to get water just set aside for that, because the bottled water is being used obviously for drinking, some cooking and washing of hands and stuff like that. There's no, and this is in some of the like I say, the hospital or places where they really need it. They don't have it. And they it's just a total wipeout of resources there. There be stuff that's been just destroyed. And there was one place, I think it was a Red Cross location. They had a sign out front, no bathrooms. I mean, it's really, they're just getting by as best they can. And so that's what they're dealing with. And it's going to take some time, obviously, for all those things to come, get back in a way where people actually have some sort of semblance of normalcy. But yeah, it's anyway. I don't see it right off the bat here, but I just got back from work myself, and I may pull that up for the morning show. But I do want to reference it to you if you go to the Epic Times, and but it was talking about the just the utter devastation, and just puts it in a scale that you can kind of understand. And I think that's yeah, it's sad, but and it's not that we're I think it's called Devastation in North Carolina. And this is an article. I did find it, I believe. Um, this is an article by, it's the Epic Times. I was looking for the writer. Uh, I think it's just staff. I don't think it's going to give that, but there's just some pictures and images there that are really hard to see. But I wanted to pull out a few things, and this is this is there between Asheville and the Swananoa. I'm probably saying the Swananoa area. But a lot of people had their businesses set up. Obviously, cottages that were there for, rent, and everything's just been destroyed. There's a house that sits on top of a bridge there. That's how much the water was pushing down. This is worse than the flood that they had in 1916. They call it the Great Flood of 1916. So it's at more than 100 years. This is the worst one they've had. The pressure just blasted open the storefronts as like a bomb had went off. Tractor trailers are mangled across roads and railways. We know about the water total. They talk about hundreds being missing, but they really don't know because, like I said, there's a homeless population. They don't even know how many there were. They're finding bodies. They are searching. But with all that rain that followed, they have no potable water or very little. The Asheville water supply system is completely destroyed. Now, we think about, well, you got power and different things that will operate that. This storm was so bad and the breaking up of the ground was so bad. This is going to take a long time, that even the water mains and underground pipes were swept away because the ground itself was just removed. So the lines themselves are going to have to be reran in the city. Many of them, I don't know if all, but a lot of them. That's going to take some time. So they're bringing in thousands of gallons of water every day into the city. Nobody can flush their toilets. Nobody can take a shower. Nobody can do laundry. They have no water. The infrastructure for that water is totally destroyed. This is from a quote by Dr. Carly Brown, a primary care physician in practice in Asheville's River Arch District, told the Epic Times. That's what they told. This is so the doctor there, and they're struggling to try to keep clean while caring for sick and injured and all that. Wendy Feinberg, a 77-year-old retired school teacher, said she hadn't had a shower since last Wednesday. She's hearing horrible things beyond that. There's no running water at all in Asheville. No running water. Ryan Alston, a local resident and disaster relief worker, told the Epic Times, plenty of people are bringing in bottled water for drinking, but there is no way to use water for anything else. The lack of water has been particularly dire at hospitals and shelters with many injured and homeless citizens taking refuge. Mission Hospital, a level 2 trauma center with 1,200 beds in downtown Asheville, was reportedly, get this, digging wells to find water for essential services. Again, where is the massive amount of help we need for this? This is like something out of, third world, war-torn country. There are feces piled up in the toilets. People had buckets next to their rooms, and they were flushing their toilets that way. Doctors couldn't do procedures because there's no way to clean their utensils. Access to water is top demand from Asheville's citizens. The biggest thing right now that we definitely need is to fix the infrastructure for the water. Water is a major need here. The Reverend Michael Woods, Executive Director of Western Carolina Rescue Ministries in Asheville, said, his facilities have become a staging point to accept donations and distribute them to the community. He told the Times that he wants President Joe Biden and North Carolina Governor Ray Cooper to make water restoration their top priority. I'm down to 4 water bottles. Yoshida Mills, an Asheville resident who came to collect free water bottles and supplies at a community center. Give me everything. Then another, this comes to the crime, the looting. They've had this going on. That many citizens, that this just goes to show you. I was really shocked by some of this because it's just areas they're not used to seeing things like this on this scale. Not like a major metropolitan area. that's just falling apart, and crime is an everyday occurrence. But they're targeting damage and/or abandoned properties, given that many of the residents have fled. Many fear that they will be victims of a home invasion or taking steps to defend themselves. Now, this is what one of the residents said about the crime and about their fear at night. He said, quote, "I actually own a gun. I have it loaded and sitting by my bed, and I have a butcher knife and a can of wasp spray. I am afraid at night." That's just the retired school teacher Feinberg said. "It's totally dark and nobody's around. So just in case the looters decide to venture out, I'm there. We're a little nervous about looting." They have heard about that there was looting in the Black Mountain area and this other valley uh, nearby, talking about those nearby towns. Many who say they're residents of the area have claimed on social media that looting is ongoing. Local authorities are cognizant of looting and have issued public messages against it. That's not going to do anything. They don't have the manpower to do anything for it. Where's the National Guard? We understand that times are tough, but looting is never the answer. We urge everyone to stay calm and patient as resources are on the way to assist those in need. The city of Asheville posted on its website. Yay. I get it. You got to post that, but that's not going to help them. We're working closely with local and state partners to distribute supplies and restore order. Well, that's a lot of little words that mean nothing. I'm not trying to be critical, but can you imagine living like that, and you're afraid to go to sleep at night? Authorities have increased the police and military presence. Good to hear in Asheville to deter looting, with armed peace officers coming across the country to provide assistance. They need a lot more. There were some police officers from Louisiana that were present in the area, the Times observed. I'm not going to read it all. I just wanted to say also, this is something I've covered too. They are trying to tell people to be wary of scams. There's a lot of scam websites that are set up right now that people want to give to. They're total scams. To make sure you've researched and you're going through reputable and make sure, because some of them will mimic a website that looks like a legit charity, and you got to be careful with that. So really look at your IP addresses and all that, and make sure that you are actually on that site. I wouldn't follow links. I would go do a search and pull up that so that you have a good link to that. They'll do that through email, especially text as well. Be careful, with those kind of things. And then they already had a homeless population. Many of those may have died, but now they have new homeless. And these are people that had homes. They don't have homes. They don't have cars. All their possessions are gone. Many of the businesses remain closed. Their employees suddenly out of work. Many of the people are now living with friends and relatives as they process the new reality. One lady says, my son and his wife, quote, "My son and his wife, they lost everything. My mother-in-law lost everything." She is a motel operator in Asheville who has several relatives now living with her. "For the first time in years, I have a full house," she said. Grandmother's house is condemned, a big X on the side. The population of the homeless has grown. They're relying on temporary shelters, food banks, and clothing drives to survive. The American Red Cross has set up a temporary shelter for the unhoused at Asheville Bumpkin Technical Community College. Randy Stay, a Red Cross volunteer from Arizona, told the Epic Times that high demand has pushed such facilities to the limit of their capacity. It's full. There's a waiting list. So they got nowhere to go. We've got homeless people from encampments and people from houses that aren't, in the best of shape. Some community leaders are raising concerns about the latter group of people who have no previous experience with homelessness. Once shelters close, they say the lack of experience by the newly homeless will increase their suffering. And it goes on and on and on. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is just like, their Katrina. And I've heard people say that. I just wanted to share this. I thought the Epic Times, really got on the ground and just laid it out. I like that. I like the news organization. They are distributing 25,000 meals a day. That's just in that area. The World Central Kitchen, as a volunteer with them, Maria Mora, a food relief organization created by celebrity chef Jose Andres, told the Epic Times her colleague Erica Burt, "We're going out into communities and serving them." The Red Cross is supplying cots, meals, clothing until longer-term living arrangements can be obtained. I'll tell you, they're going to have to get up some temporary. Yeah, there's another one coming. Yeah, they're going to. Hey, Cole, they're going to have to get. They're going to have to get some temporary housing, whether get in the campers, tents, and to have security for that, or it'll be a living hell in those areas, because you can't. I mean, who would want their women and children, maybe even themselves? You can't have just hoodlums running it over and abusing people. So again, they're going to have to. And I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying they're going to have to do that really quick to get that up, because it's going to turn ugly, and people are even I want to say, I don't know at what point you would be willing to do bad. If there's always that question: if my family is hungry, would I steal? And hardworking people can be driven to do things that they wouldn't normally do, because they're in chaos and they're in fear. I'm just saying, would you not take something to feed your little baby crying, or your little kid? I'm glad they're bringing in all they are, and I hope they keep that up. Yeah, definitely, Colt. Definitely, board up your windows and all that stuff. And hurricanes are coming. I've got an aunt that's in Florida. This thing, did it hit F5 today? I heard it was already hit F5, and it may, of course, go across some other land masses maybe before it gets there. And what it'll be. I've heard 3 and then 2 and 1 as it goes across the state. Anything can happen. I mean, it's just, and then there's another smaller one. They think it'll diminish though, but there could be another one. Yeah, Cat 5. Thank you. It's a Cat 5 coming. Now, like I said when I first went on the air, great exodus, and the roads are jammed. There's going to be people that's having, and this thing's going to hit, after we flip over midnight here. It'll be Wednesday evening. It's supposed to hit the coast. The storm surges from what I'm reading, is going to be worse than, yes, Mike, it is coming. It's going to be worse than Helene, and there's already, they've already suffered damage. It wasn't, and just does this thing wiggle a little bit? Where does it go? And everybody's trying to figure that out. It's just horrible. It is absolutely horrible. My heart goes out. Asheville is never, and someone said that. That's the last thing I wanted to say about this article. And it's at the very end, and the doctor, I think that was Brown, said it's. And this is when you said Katrina. They said it's our Hurricane Katrina. This is what the doctor said: we'll never totally recover. Think about that, and that's true, because it's never going to be totally the same. There's just some things that are never going to be again. There are some people that are never. I mean, they're dead. There are some people that are going to move away. They're never going to come back. Hey, Steve. Welcome back. There's going to be people that, move from the area. There's businesses that will not reopen. And Asheville, if you've ever been there, it's an artsy, eclectic kind of town. A lot of people like going there. Of course, there's things to see, attractions in the area, and they have in the surrounding region. And it's a beautiful locale if you've ever been through there. But it's just horrible. And I'm not, and again, there's other areas that are damaged as well. I'm not placing them above. It just seems to be that's the epicenter. That's where the most damage in totality has occurred. I'm not saying it's the same kind of damage all across the South. And they're going to be in recovery mode. And even we got this other one coming, I mean, we may be, Florida may be the new epicenter of just, total devastation. I had read that some of the people are wanting to go ahead. Disney's not going to close. Some of the attractions are not going to close. I mean, they're going to close, but I mean, not close as early as some people would want, and they're frustrated by that. So if somebody wanted to get out, I guess you have to miss work, because they're not going to let, yeah. Hey, well, tonight we can talk about tornadoes, because tornadoes be coming too. Yeah. And that's where a lot of death comes as well. Just those pop-up tornadoes that come out of the swirling winds and stuff, and the different temperatures and stuff, but yeah, again, we're same mode. It's like take 2, you had take 1, now it's take 2. And is there going to be more? And it's just amazing what's going on right now. Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, there's, I think, you got to have a toughness. I mean, by gosh, we're Americans, but we're humans as well. And yeah, You know, a lot of people before this would have happened, you know, again, I'm not saying anything about it bad. I'm just saying a lot of people probably had the attitude, it's Florida, hurricanes come. I mean, people almost have that, you know, like, well, you know, you live in Florida, you're going to get hurricanes. Like somebody would say, you live in Kansas or Oklahoma or Texas or wherever, you're going to get tornadoes. They spin across the prairie and whatever. But the people there will never say that again, because they can't just say, well, it's Florida, you get hurricanes. Well, this thing has changed that dynamic, because people aren't going to say it the same way. They're going to say, well, you know what? They're going to be telling their grandkids and great grandkids, well, I'm going to tell you about the storm of 2024. We used to think, you know, whatever. Um, that is incredible, Steve. You know, Cold, I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. It's been a crazy last 24 hours of me working late and stuff. And yeah, just the people, and people don't think 15 foot of water coming in force. You know, they just, the force of it is absolutely, there's nothing much going to stand in its way. I don't know if y'all saw the picture. Somebody posted on Facebook. iPhone users are not allowed. Mike, you have some crazy things. You crack me up. But the picture of the church in North Carolina that you saw underwater up to the sides of it, it stayed, but then they showed it later when the water receded, and I hope that's an actual picture. I think it is, but it was actually up on it was up off, way off ground, and the water came all the way up there because it was a valley and that water just didn't have anywhere to go. So the water just rose up. That may be one of the most incredible pictures I think I've ever saw. They did the before and after, or the before and when the water was there. I think the after picture was actually a before picture, if I remember. I could be wrong, but anyway, I just caught a, you know, I don't catch everything. There's so many pictures and so many items coming out. I'm just trying to stay up to date as best I can, you know. But it's really it's just an amazing time, and you know, we just have to ride it out, as they say, you know. What was the old thing in Jaws? We need a bigger boat. Well, we're going to have to do some things in a bigger way, you know. And you know, and I would just say this as well, you know, I don't care. I don't care about that remark. If you're joking or if you're serious, I could care less what you have to say about that. So, you know, you're free to have your opinion just like anybody. So, terms of service, always amazing. The rules are broken. You're breaking the rules, but we know who breaks the rules. So, amen. But God bless you. I wish you well, no matter who you support or what you do. God bless you tonight. But yeah, it's we're gonna have to do things. In Appalachia has always been. You know what? I don't care. Go ahead. I mean, really, is that what you want to say? I mean, you're welcome to come in and have the debate and everything. But if you're going to talk that way, I mean, I give you one more chance. If you want to say something else ugly, then you can just go. I mean, if that's what you want, I don't care. You know what? Do you think my life does not revolve around you or this channel? I'm here and I'll be here or I'll be somewhere. This is not the totality of where I guess you're coming from YouTube. You think I care? I don't. God bless you, as I said. And if you just want to be ugly, be ugly. But, you know, just don't be like that. If you want to be that, go find somebody else. We'll make it possible for you to do that. I try to be as open as I can, let everybody have their say. But you know what? I just don't care. I promise you. I know. I don't, but you know, it's like, you know, we're having a here all these people are suffering, and we got some knucklehead that comes in here with acting like an idiot. And you know, maybe you just need to pray. I know it, but you know what? I mean, people like that just kill me, you know. It's just yeah, Cat 5, man. Cat 5. Is there such a thing as a Cat 6? I'm just asking. I'm not being joking. I'm not joking. Or is it just Cat 5? Is that the wind speed above that it just continues to be a 5? Somebody said, I heard somebody say today Cat 6. I think they were just saying that. I haven't really ever looked at that, but I think it's like tornadoes, over a certain, F5 or whatever, F5. There is no F6. It's just F5 it's over a certain amount of wind speed and it just keeps going. Sure, we can. Absolutely. We're Americans. We can both believe that. There you go. That's the kind of, I can deal with that statement. Absolutely. What did Steve Martin say back in the day? Well, a wild and crazy guy. Sure, people think that. I can deal with it. Like I said, just don't be ugly. If you can, you can be critical of me, but you come in making threats. I mean, I'm trying to be nice, but it's fine. But yeah, max velocity. So max velocity is, it can't go higher. So it's just whatever it is above that. So, but and we don't know about through all of history because there's only so much recorded history about these things, but could it set a record, I guess maybe is even a better question. So I don't know, but I do pray for them in the path of the storm, and my prayers continue to go out, and our church prays. And, I knew there's a reason I put on this hat tonight. I just felt it. I actually had on a different hat, and I said, I'm going to the different hat. We are 1 inch from the greatest moment in American history. 1 inch. And what's that moment? It's okay. I'm good with it. That's a lot to say when you talk about American history. I love history and I love American history. And I would be curious to what you think is from the greatest moment in American history. History's made every second. We're making history right now. But yeah, there's things that can happen. We could say that, this storm was of recorded history. This storm, or I'm just saying in general, is the most, powerful storm in history. So I'm curious of what that would be, free and open discussion. What is the greatest moment? Is it Kamala winning? She could. I wouldn't call it the greatest moment, but if you do, that's fine. By the way, you can't measure, and I caution people on both sides to do this. You can't measure things like that in the moment. History has to be evaluated for a lot of time. You can't in the moment say this is the greatest. I think you have to go past it and look at it. It's like, you draft a team and you say, this is the greatest draft in the history of the NFL. Well, really? Look at it 5 years later, 10 years later, and kind of evaluate that. And then, does it change? So some people, anytime we throw around the things greatest, there's only one thing that I think is the greatest. That's Jesus. And I don't think it, I know it. I said that wrong. Jesus is the greatest. But when we say the greatest, it's like heroes. We throw that word around too much. Heroes. I do think there are heroes. I think they're just ordinary people who do heroic things. They're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof, but they do amazing things. And they do amazing things in storms like this and in chaos and in war and whatever. They didn't ask to be a hero, but they do heroic acts. And in fact, in being a hero, they're probably a person that has a lot of faults because everybody's a sinner. And, but they just do heroic things, they have, they're probably some of the 7 deadly sins that they fall from. And I think you gotta be careful when you say, the greatest or the hero or whatever, but it's interesting. I mean, again, freedom, we have freedom to say that, and that's fine. I can dig it. Thanks for being here. Severe thunderstorms are expected to be possible throughout the parts of eastern Oklahoma. Okay, what's on this? That I've been in Oklahoma a few times. Traveled out for ministry and was speaking in churches and did a little bit of a vacation out there. I love the state. Very flat, like you're getting in that area of flatlands, and when it rains there, then water, it really floods quickly. I was in Oklahoma City, and they can get a 1 inch rain, and they're flooding everywhere because there's just nowhere for the water to go, like a valley or something. Not much, but so eastern Oklahoma. So what is on the eastern? What is one of the towns? Because Oklahoma City's kind of more mid to western. Oh man. I mean, I'd hate to be this miserable that you want to argue. Let's not argue. Let's be good. So, but yeah, thank you, Mike. Severe storm expected throughout. So we're under a lot of tornadic activity, storm activity, and we'll just pray for those folks. Was the old saying, God bless Texas, God bless Oklahoma, God bless us all, God bless our nation. Well, maybe not her, but a supporter, or maybe just pulling our chain. It's okay. I can appreciate that too. One of the things we probably all did, or most of us did when we were young, is have well, she already has. That's already happened. we recognize the damage that's been done in the South. Absolutely. And by the way, be careful about judging, because you don't know nothing about me. You don't know where I'm from. You don't know anything about me. So I just want to warn you, it doesn't matter to me. Again, I don't care. But if you think I'm just all Southern and nothing else, then you don't know. So I love it. I hope that's condescending talk from elsewhere towards the South. God bless the South. We can handle this better than most people can too, because we get her done down here. Praise God. Amen. Well, like I said, I went to work and was doing a survey, and we got done early tonight, thankfully. And I came in and I said, I'm going to do a night talk show. I hadn't got to do that in a while. I'd like to come on at night. And some of these articles were going on. Also, I wanted to mention, I think it was one other thing I wanted to mention about the Supreme Court has some pretty big rulings that could come down in the next week or two. And these could have some. No, but are you talking to me? No, but if I did, I would like it. That'd be a cool job. Yeah. Do you? Are you against them? I kind of like them. I don't really eat them anymore, but I kind of like them. But yeah, there's major decisions that are going to come down, and some of it could impact some of the cases, or at least one of the cases against President Trump. And then there's other things that could come down this week or in the next couple of weeks as well. Let's see if that's not what an amazing thing, when we think about these cases that are pending before the court, and we sit and we wait on them to come down, and then they have to talk about them. But there are some things that could come down about elections, about abortion, and so those are major. Tornado suddenly touches down in Whitman, Nebraska. Wow. And Mike, I think you said, I might have joked at it. I think you said that that you were a storm chaser. Is that true? I mean, I thought maybe he's joking. If it's true, that's cool. And I'm glad to have you in here. If you're giving updates on stuff like that, or you just follow, you have an interest in it. Well, you know what, Regina KJV, if you do work for Kamala, then do a good job. You know what? Because if you're going to work for somebody, do a good job. And yes, she could be the next president of the United States of America. Absolutely. I will say this. I am a Christian. I am a pastor and a preacher and many other things. And I will tell you this, and you can bank on this, whether you believe it or not. There will nobody be president of the United States unless God allows it, who that will be. And that's kind of hard for people to understand. We have to do our part of things, but I can promise you, if God doesn't want someone to be president or a leader of any nation, he builds up leaders, he brings down leaders, they wouldn't be in there. And sometimes that's to our own detriment, because we've done it to ourselves. We've caused ourselves to come under judgment. Well, praise God. It's awesome, Mike, and I'm glad you're here. So that's cool. And I would be very interested in exploring that a little more and talking about it. And I appreciate you coming and giving us updates like that, because that is, and absolutely, my wife would actually love that. She's more into weather than I am, but I think that's cool. And, that's awesome. Well, you're not, you cannot say you're not her judge. You're not, you're not her judge. God is her judge. You're not my judge and I'm not your judge. So you can view that one way, but I will tell you that, where she stood with God at that moment that's it. And I pray that she was a believer, and I pray she's resting in the arms of Jesus. That's what I'll say. So we can say things like that, but I'm going to tell you this: who hasn't fell from grace? Who hasn't? I'll raise my hand. There's nobody is perfect except the Lord Jesus Christ, and you are not perfect, because I know that, because every man is a sinner. Every woman, every being is a sinner. So absolutely, you're a sinner. I'm a sinner. And the question would be, are you a sinner saved by grace? And I am. So, and yes, Christians do mess up. Let me raise my hand again. And we have 1 John chapter 1, verse 9. And that is a scripture that better be buried within your memory banks, to be used and used in a way that is meant from the heart and from your whole being. But you cannot wear that verse out. That absolutely is go. Favorite Southern food. Get on a lighter note. Sorry, I just want to preach a little bit. I feel like preaching tonight. Well, there's a lot of talk, about that, and some people misidentify, or they misunderstand the wording of when you look into "Thou shalt not kill." What that means is murder. So some people have taken that a literal sense, but when you look at the Hebrew on that is murder. And if you're in defense of your home, or you're in defense of your country, or whatever, that's, you're doing your duty. Now, there can be sin that can come out of that if you did things that were beyond. And so what, but yeah, somebody comes in my home is trying to hurt my family. I have a right to defend my home, and that's not sin. That's my right to defend. Whether that means death or not, it depends. So coming in the house could be, it's castle doctrine. I'm protected by law, and God would, God instructed his people to go and do things in war and stuff. So absolutely. I understand. And I do, bro. I'm going to say, let me just back up. I'm going to say I fully understand, because I wasn't there. And, but I do understand that there would, some people have, think about that a lot. But in defense of your nation, or you doing what you were asked to do as a good soldier. And the Bible tells us to be good soldiers of Jesus Christ. So that's a great question, though. The tornado struck the town of Francine. I think I've been through that town. I may be wrong, but I think I've been through that town. Maybe I'm thinking of another friend. There is more than one around the nation, but I did drive around. I did spend some time in Oklahoma, like I said, Mike. But let me get back. Favorite Southern fried food. That is a tough one. That's a great question. There, Colt. I guess it would be a tie between fried okra or fried squash and fried chicken. And believe it or not, I'm not one of those preachers that just has to have fried chicken. I do like it, but I don't. It's not something that I just, I got to have it. People laugh. They'll say, "Oh, preacher, don't worry, we got you fried chicken." It doesn't matter to me. I do like it, but I do like fried potatoes. It's bad for you, but I try to stay away from grease as I can. But fried squash, fried okra, fried potatoes, and by the way, a good fried chicken is skillet fried. That's, yeah. Good old skillet fried chicken. Man, you're making me hungry. I didn't eat no dinner. Well, Steve, what I understand, and you can just you can pray and ask forgiveness, and it'll be forgiven. And we have that promise. 1 John 1:9. Look that verse up. 1 John 1:9. Cold fried chicken, and I forgot fried green tomatoes. I didn't like them when I was younger, but I do like them. I haven't had them in a long time, but the last time I had them was at a restaurant, and they were so good. And I'm amazed that because I'm not really a tomato fan. I mean, I can eat it, but I'm not. My wife loves them. I'm not a big fan. But the fried green tomatoes, they are awesome. Absolutely. You're cooking with grease now, as we say down here in the South. Absolutely. So, are you saying that's yours, or are you just throwing that out there? So I think that's cool. That deserves, by the way, y'all are doing a great job in the chat, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate even differing opinions. Like I said, we're not trying to, we've never with this podcast tried to, I get people jerking your chain and trying to have, mess with you. That's fine too. But never forget, either joking or not, the word of God go forth, and what someone intends for evil, God will use for the good. I'll tell you a quick story. One night I had some kids that they called my kid, my oldest kid. And, my son comes to me and he said, these kids are prank calling me and they're giving me a hard time. So it was a bunch of kids and they were, I understand, Steve. Yes. I'll try to put some of these up. I know y'all are doing a lot in the chat. Tornado flips truck in Nebraska. Hey, this is great. The Southern Fried Podcast has a storm chaser that is keeping us updated. That is so cool, Mike. It really is. I'm sorry if I was giving you a hard time last night. Things were hitting me left and right. So, and y'all were being a little rough, but we want to keep those, have fun, but I want to tell you, these kids were calling my kid, and my son says they're saying bad things to me and all this. I said, give me the phone. And I got on the phone. And I said, hey, who is this? And there was, I could tell there was two people on the phones, but there was a bunch of people there in the gallery. And, okay, 1989. That was a good year. Anyway, I got on there and they were saying ugly things and laughing and giggling and all that. And I said, they wanted to say a few things. They used a couple of curse words. And I said, well, here's the deal. I said, I know you called my son to have a little, fun with him and all that. He's not going to be on the phone again. So your fun is over, and you can laugh and giggle and you can use bad language if you want to when you're talking to me. That's fine too, but I'm going to hang up. But I said, I want to say something to you. And I want everybody's listening. How many over there? There's a bunch of you, and I hear you. I hear you laughing and giggling. I don't know whose house you're at or whatever, but I said, that's right, Colt. That is absolutely, I remember that. That was the year. Was that the year of the earthquake? Ain't that right? Anyway, just my brain working that way. So I said, listen, you don't know it, but you called a preacher's house. And I said, you will answer for what you're doing right now. You will answer for that. You don't answer to me. You'll answer to God. And the girl was being a little snarky and everything. And the guy, he got kind of quiet because there was a girl on the phone and a guy, and then the rest of them were just listening in. I could hear people laughing. What are they saying? And she said, yeah, that's right. And kept going. And I said, and I just walked around the house and I just preached. I just went to preaching. And my kids were just wide eyed. My wife was listening. I preached, and I gave them the word of God, and I just laid her down for a little bit. They were laughing at first, and they got really quiet. And the girl, the guy that was on the phone, he got really quiet. And the girl, she wanted to be, still wanted to be smart. And the guy told her that was on there, told her to shut up. He said, shut your mouth and don't say another word. And she said, what'd you just say to me? He said, you heard me. He said, shut your mouth and don't say another word. And you could tell it stunned her really hard. And then he goes, sir, he said, I want to apologize to you. He said, I want to make you, he said, I'm sorry that I take it, that was probably at his house. Parents weren't home or whatever. And he got real respectful. And he said, and he told the girl, he said, everything this man is saying is correct. So I knew he'd been in church. I knew he'd been around the gospel. I knew he'd been raised to know the word of God. I knew that it hit him. The word of God hit him. The Holy Spirit, everything was hitting him like a ton of bricks. And he said, everything this man's saying is truth. And he said, I want to promise you, sir, there's nobody going to call you back from this line again. And I said, I hope you have a good evening. Tell your son we're sorry, and it won't never happen again. I said, fair enough, son. You have a great evening. And I knew it. And see, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall after that. But yeah, tornado on the job, So do you drive? You said, I think you mentioned the other night in the chat that you drive one of those new kind of storm chasing vehicles, the kind that's supposed to be able to be flipped and thrown around. You're okay. I mean, I think it's cool that you do that. I don't. What is? How did you? Why did you get into it? Did you always have a fascination with storm chasing? We had a tornado, a funnel cloud headed towards house once. It dissipated about. It was less than a quarter mile from my house on a direct path, and Well, I try to be, Steve. I don't put me on a pedestal, but if there's any kindness in me, it's from Jesus. I promise you. I got my faults, and I've just given to the Lord and been serving Him a long time. But I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect now, and I try my best. And this podcast was never intended to be, because some people ask me, because is your podcast all preaching and ministry? And I say, no, we do have a portion of that. We do funny things on here. We do a lot of different kinds of things. We got a lot of stuff on the way. I was just talking to Rob tonight. By the way, he's better. He's getting back on it. He set up another interview, which is, oddly enough, it's with a pastor. We're going to highlight a church way down in South Georgia, right there in that kind of that zone, low area. When storms come through, they could flood out. But we've got an interview set up with the pastor of a church down there. Great guy, and we're going to talk to them. But the podcast was never meant to be, total ministry. We wanted to cover a lot of things, like politics, like talking about storms or whatever. And so, but in that, we've always said we stand on 6 pillars. And by the way, anybody, if you're not a member of our Cornbread Nation, I need to mention this. I need to link it. If on Facebook, we have our Southern Fried Podcast site, but we also have something called Cornbread Nation. So if you just go there and join in, anyway, we call our followers breadheads, which is something we have fun with, because we like our cornbread here in the South. And okay, I got you, Mike. So go over there to Cornbread Nation, and we got about 67 followers in there. But we're going to start boosting some stuff up. By the way, Steve, I don't know if you have seen the movie The Keeper, but if you get an opportunity to see that. But I was talking to George Eshelman tonight, which the movie is about. Cornbread, yeah, and not with sugar down here in the South now. No, we don't do that down here. But I'll tell you, I've had it with sugar, and it was good. I've yellow mix and all, but I get beat up about that sometimes. But I like regular cornbread. I do. Pinto beans, white beans, whatever. It's great side with any dish. Slab of butter in the middle, melted down. I do like Mexican cornbread too, so that's cool. But yeah. So are you self-funded, or are you funded by someone or some entity, or is this just a hobby, or is this your job, or, just curious. Just tell us a little bit about yourself there. I definitely want to highlight that. In California, we only make boxed cornbread. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Oh, so what's your favorite food, Colt? I'm going to take a stab and say it's seafood. Every minute I stay in this room, every minute Charlie squats in the bush, he gets stronger. Sounds like a quote, man. That sounds like a quote. You have to let me know. What else is going on? It was a great football weekend. I got to lighten it up a little bit. Bama went down, crash. Tennessee, the Colts. KC wins again. Taylor Swift in the house. I did see a little bit of it. I was working, but I pulled it up and watched some while I was working, just because we were waiting on people, and I was like, okay, got to have something to see. Sushi. Kind of knew it. Kind of knew you were kind of down. I just felt it. The rawer, the better. I can't do it. Yeah, I understand, brother. 30 seconds from death from tornado, and the TIV2, TIV2, as we could say for short. Interesting. You take care out there, Mike. And I guess commonly most tornadoes are traditional. I'm just guessing. I could be totally wrong. I'm taking a stab. I'm throwing the dart on the board. Would they probably be more like threes, F3s, F2, F3? It's kind of rare to see the F5 all the time. It takes a lot of circumstances to come together to be that strong of a storm, I would think. Of course, I'm not versed in it, and I'll get myself in trouble here real quick, because I wouldn't have enough knowledge to know it. But I'm just guessing on that, just in looking at some of it, because I always look at that, And and how do you? no debate. I guess I would just um, okay, who cares? We're not receiving any revenue, so go take that. You know what? I tell you what, Regina, say bye. I tried to be nice. We don't need her. We don't need Regina. Go. California, by how far, has the best Mexican food in the nation. No debate. So, what would be? Um, yes, the F5 is rare. So, what do you base that on? I mean, and why is that? If that's true, you say no debate. Okay, I'm not going to debate you because I've been to California. It's been a long time, but didn't eat any Mexican food there. I did have some good food, but what would you base that on? Uh, what would you base it on? So the best Mexican food in the nation, because I can think there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good Mexican food out there. And is it because it's closer to Mexico and there's more traditional Mexican restaurants? I just was I just wondered, you know, just wondered. I'm not a huge fan of Mexican. I do like it. Yeah, and I kind of figured that. I guess that's just logical because Southern California, especially, um, it would just be everywhere. I'm sure. I mean, because the business is there, and you're going to have a yeah. It's and I wonder, is it more because if you look at a lot of people, what they call Mexican dishes in some parts of the country are not really true Mexican dishes, and I would bet, just guessing, closer to California, they're going to be a lot truer to true Mexican dishes, not things that they mass produce or whatever. Even if they're cooking it all, I hear it's just not, because they're trying. It's Americanized, I guess. What I would say, it's Westernized, American, whatever. However, that's probably not the proper way to say that, but we've drove around the nation and tried Mexican food, and it couldn't compare. Is that kind of like people that say, "Shut up"? You know what? Just go. Just go. We don't need it. So just fresher ingredients and stuff. So yeah, fresher ingredients, produce wise. So I can see that. That's a good point. That is a good point. Winds, tornadoes are based on wind speed and damage. Okay, yeah, you're right, because um, when they go out and measure, because I know around here sometimes they will say they're trying to make a determination on where it was at in the F scale, and the they'll go look at the structure damage, or I guess woods. Did it first? Did it really touch down? Because sometimes around here we don't know. They say it's a possible touchdown. Then later you'll get confirmation. Sometimes it's even the next day. They'll make a determination that it did touch down, and this was they'll upgrade. Sometimes they will scale up. It was really at F3. It was not. We thought it was F2. It was F3 based on damage. So that's a good point. I like that. So yeah, um, good information. But we're learning. I'm learning, and I like to learn. I'm a learning guy. I like to learn something every day. It's my challenge every day to learn something, to be someone who learns, and so I try to do that. Thoughts on Diddy? Well, it's from what I hear, it's just a horrible, horrible thing. Shocking names they say that will be coming out. I don't. I mean, I say only shocking in the fact that of it's not because I don't think anybody. Um, hey, Cook, give me just a second. I think that I'm not shocked that there are those. I'm to the level, maybe because I don't know anything about him, or you hear things. So they say they've got this evidence. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm not truly shocked at some of the people that probably be named, unless it's way somebody from a conservative background that you're just like, whoa, we didn't know they was involved in something like that, because obviously there's whether it's the Epstein client list or whether it's this or whatever. What it tells us is that there's just a lot of bad people out there doing bad things, and they're, you know, I mean, look at Hollywood and decades of evil and immorality that, you know, went into abuse, and we hear those stories now of child actors and all those things happen, and a lot of these entertainers, you know, they get, I mean, it's just they get people to hang around and they force them into stuff, and so that's what I say is, and I don't know anything about him. I don't really know that much about him, to be honest, because I didn't follow him. It's not my style of music or anything like that. So he bought like baby oil like we bought toilet. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, it's evil. Cook, for you, good to see you, brother. I've been working some night shift this week a little bit because we're doing surveys. So like last night, I didn't leave till, oh my goodness, I got home about 1:30, and I was up till 3:30. I just couldn't sleep, so I got up this morning on about 3 hours sleep, took the kids to school, grandkids, neighborhood kids, and then went. I just went on to work. I came home about 2 and just took a nap and kind of rested and went back to work for about from about 7:45 till about it was just a little after 11, so, or not 11, it was a little after 10 when we left, and I came. These people just, you know, they just, you know, just having fun, just go away. But yeah, I come in, I decided I was going to do a late night show, so. And got idiots that's coming in the chat and saying a bunch of stupid stuff and blah 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 blah. So, you know, but love you, Robert. Talked to him. Well, we texted. He's much better. He's been sick, and he you know, he had bad allergies, and I heard him. We did talk because he didn't come into the program. Mama said so. He was sick bad. So yeah, a lot of bots. But you know what? We got a ban button. We just ban them, so they can just keep creating new names and come back in and act like dummies or whatever. That's fine. You're going to get that. But yeah, bless you. You're absolutely right, Steve. Yeah, they can just. Hey, it's going to get worse the closer we get the election too. I think it's funny though that they wanted to say she was going to win. It's going to be the greatest moment in history. I mean, obviously they know we're conservative and they hear us talk and and so it's just so stupid. Like what saying we're throwing disinformation? What disinformation about what? We sit here and talked about. Read from an official news source, and we just talked about everything of it. It's stupid. I actually think that we're dumb that way. Like we really think about it. But I will say there are people that go out and try to get channels in trouble, and I don't care. I don't care. We're on all sorts of platforms, and they wouldn't have anything to kick us out for. And well, you know what? There's a lot of people. Interesting thought there. It's going to be very different in October. Just differences of temperature. Dreaming every night. I'm dreaming of a Trump inauguration. Cook, did you watch the game last night? I'm wondering if you're still in here. It was a good game. I watched a lot of it. Well, I'm having trouble with one side I say there, one other side there. That's just politics, brother. Nobody's going to say they're losing, by the way, right? Nobody's going to say they're losing. There's not going to be an official source come out from a campaign and go, we have to tell all of our listeners, we have to tell all of our followers, our supporters, we're losing the battle. You might as well just close up shop if you're going to come out and do that. So yeah, they're going to keep, we're winning. No, we're winning. And then you got the media out there throwing, well, Kamala, she's setting records. It's going to be a landslide blowout. How do you know? There is no way to truly know because you can't trust polls. Oh, by the way, I do want to tell you this. This is great. This is straight from the horse's mouth. Here's some information, talking about information. Our friend George Eshelman, he posted this. He said in his 55 years of living where he does, he's never had anybody come to his house, a pollster come to his house. And yes, I do remember that, Cole. This is his quote. This is from George Eshelman. You can see this on his Facebook account. He is the man that made the movie The Keeper, about former military, great guy. It's not long, but I want to read it because I thought this was interesting. In my 55 years, I've never had a pollster come to my front door. Today, I actually had one. They were legitimate and they had a tablet. 2 questions. Who are you voting for? And are you an early voter or day of voter or absentee ballot? He says, I blank you not. When I said I was voting for Trump, I saw his finger touch the blue square. That was Democrat. I saw the name. And then I said, I'm voting on the day of the election. He got that one right. I did not voice my concern about what he did because I know polls actually don't mean anything because of this. But it just blew my mind that he pressed Harris when I said I was voting for Trump. Whether you like how he talks or his personality or anything else, I don't care. I just know my wallet was heavier when he was president. Whoever makes America stronger, I'm voting for. Like Forrest Gump says, that's all I have to say about that. But he actually watched them push the wrong button on, and of course they're doing that on purpose. You push that, and so you can't trust the polls, Cook. I'm sorry. There are a couple that are sometimes close, but whenever a title of any article in any news source says pollster makes prediction that has predicted the last 20 elections, I don't even listen to that crap. I'm not even going to read the article. Yeah, that was a great night. There's a lot of people, Steve, would feel that way. Well, there's a lot of people that are very upset with the Bushes. Very, very upset. Very, very upset. This is interesting. I've never seen more Trump signs in California. It would be crazy if he flipped the state. It won't happen, but it would be crazy. That, you know what? That is 55 electoral votes. If somehow that happened, Katrina is the name of my wife. What does 1 point ahead mean? That just means percentages. So when you're if you were looking at a number of votes, they're saying that how many of the votes are cast, but really what it says is how many they polled. If they go out and they poll 1,000 people and they say, who are you voting for? Of course, they ask these questions in a way they can get whatever answers they want. But what they would say is, according to our poll of 1,000 people, plus or minus usually 5, we believe that this person, whoever it is winning by 1 percentage point or 2 percentage points. And in a lot of them, they're about that. Some of them are as high as 5, but the plus or minus, Cook, means that those numbers could be off as much as 10 from one way to the other. Percentage points. That's thousands of votes or hundreds of, even millions. If you extrapolate that information on out, they're not talking to, 100,000 people. They're talking in some cases only 500 to 800 people. And what you, ain't no love in Oklahoma. Got sucked by a tornado in 1955. Lord have mercy. But one of the things you have to remember, Cook, is they can call into a Democratic stronghold, or it could happen the other way. You could call into a very conservative stronghold, and by and large, you're going to skew the numbers. So there's a lot of marketing that goes in that. And by the way, people want to make money and they want to drive people to their site, so they throw out headlines. You can skew a poll. I'm not saying some of them are not as close as they could. They're getting the best info they can. And by the way, who says that those people they called even told them the truth? I mean, you could lie, right? It should be illegal for someone to step into an election without the people voting. Absolutely. People need to vote. Absolutely. People need to vote. So, but yeah. So I don't really put any stock into any poll because of that. It's just not, steal my thunder. And I and it's not just her. There's many with her, but I would certainly am not wanting her to be a hit leader of this country in that honored seat. It's still an honored seat. I don't care because we've had unhonorable people in it. I still have great respect for the office of President of the United States of America. I understand. I can't put that on screen, Steve, but you have a right to feel that way. I understand. But yeah, that's the beauty of America, right? We can feel however we want to feel. I mean, that's how you feel. And, vote. So, Steve, if I may ask, who's the first president you voted for that you were eligible to vote for? Who was that president? And I'm going to throw another one out here, and I can't stay on real long. I got to get up and early. We'll be live on the air at 6 a.m. So that means I got to get up at 5:15. So I'm going to go a few more minutes. I got to hear a little earlier. We're going to do more of these night talk shows, though. I love them. But we just get some crazy people sometimes. I'm scared either way. Things are not good. Yes, sir. But either way, well, the problem is even because there's so many people that hate Trump. If he wins, there's going to be people trying to cause a lot of trouble. I mean, I think so. My first president I voted for was the Honorable Ronald Reagan. That was in 1984. I was not old enough to vote for him in 80, so I voted in the 1984 election, which I guess occurred. I don't know what was 80. No, 84. Yeah, November of it. That was my first one. So I was 19 years old in 1984. Yeah. Yes, Cook. That's absolutely terrible. Absolutely. And unfortunately, we have a history in our country of that. The attempt and, unfortunately, the success. That's horrible. You're right, Colt. I would be mad if I was a voter that way and she didn't want Biden to step down. I wasn't coming running. We were forced to have her as a candidate. That's true. They just throw her out there. So here's our candidate. Biden's out. She's in. This is who we're pushing forward. Oh, they had 2 or 3 other names. You knew where it was going. They weren't going to do nothing with that. So yeah. But yeah, it's the country's in trouble. I saw some numbers today. And by the way, they're trying to talk more conservative. Amen, brother. They're trying to talk more like they're trying to clamp down on some of the illegal immigration now, the border crossings. Oh, really? Now? But then she turns around and says, I wouldn't change anything that Joe Biden did. They asked her a question. By the way, the guy for 60 minutes, what have been taking her to task in the questions? Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's the guy. First one voted for Barry Goldwater, I believe. Wow. I was flipping on that when you popped that up, Gavin Newsom. Barry Goldwater. A lot, he never got there. Yeah. He never got there. A lot of people there was a lot of people thought he was going to make it. He didn't make it. Who was on that ticket? Do you remember, Steve? Who was on that? Yeah. Nancy. Willie Brown. That was Kamala's boss, right? That's as far as I'm going with it. Lyndon. Okay. Wow. That's a pretty amazing ticket, really. You think about it at the time, thinking back. What is your opinion? Somebody asked us in the stream one night, and I'm actually trying to I haven't got into it yet. I'm going to do a lot of research. And I study the presidents a lot. But what is your opinion of the administration of Dwight D. Eisenhower as president? If you look back and obviously I wasn't even alive when he served, but in looking back through history, what do you think about his term as president, Dwight D. Eisenhower? And and the question was asked in the stream, why do we not hear more about his time as president? And if you think about it, it's really true. They really talk about, of course, the war years, we're talking about, and he was a general. Well, they talk about, Truman a lot. And of course, Roosevelt, but then it skips forward and it's Kennedy and, going forward, all the way up through to, Nixon and Lyndon Johnson. But why is that time, Let's see here. We got an update here. Tornado warnings for tomorrow night at 6. Then we have to be up there by 7. I'll have a lot to get ready to go. So if you're interested in going in, yeah, let's go in. Could we have video of this? Could we have video of going in? I'm ready to go in. Let's go into the tornado, man. I'm game. You lead us. We'll follow. Oh man. Let's see, tomorrow night, we're going to have, let's see, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., we'll have our morning show midweek, hump day, and then hump day news starting at 7 tomorrow night, or actually tonight, because we flipped over into the next day. It is now the 9th of October. But possibility I might do it because I don't have to work. I got to go in Thursday night for a good while. Friday night I got training. I'll be a little late for Front Porch Talking because the training goes to 8:30. So Robert will have to just hold on. I'm coming. So let's see. I once seen a campaign sticker that said, "If Kennedy wins, we all lose." You know, I knew a guy that told me his daddy run a little barber shop in a little town close to me, and he said the day that Kennedy won. By the way, that is a great, you're right. You're absolutely right. When he won, he closed the barbershop up and his opinion was it's all over. That's how he felt about it. Just him being elected. So interesting. Do you believe all the conspiracy theories about the assassination of Kennedy, or you say they're not conspiracy theories, they're truth? You know, how do you feel about that? Yeah, tornado going to be sucking. Yeah, that's what it does in the in that. You've seen that in Cali. I could talk to you guys all night. Oh, great. We have a lot of good conversation. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. A lot of people up on the screen with that one, my friend. There's a lot of people that believe that. Absolutely. Seen that in Cali. I'll get you on screen. Mike, Colt. We have a Mike Coulter and we have a Colt. Oh, we got some ramen going on. And we have a cook. And you have a Cordell. My last name is Cordell. So you have a Cordell, we have a Coulter, we have a Colt. I don't know if that's first or last name or nickname. We have a cook. Yeah, the Jets fired their coach, Cook. He said he was shocked. He didn't see it coming. Well, there's a lot of pressure. Buddy, you can't just keep losing. And by the way, the Patriots benched their quarterback. Drake May's now coming in. That's kind of funny. Oh. You guys are killing me, man. I think I'm getting used to you now a little bit. Y'all kind of caught me off guard. Other than that, some of the humor, man, it was coming at me kind of hard. I'm kind of getting you. Thanks for hanging in there because you've got me kind of on page now. I'm on point with where y'all are coming from. These different things. It's really hard when you look at chat sometimes to see. I think we got in the middle of all this. We got political talk. We got war talk. We got all this stuff. We got Mike. He was begging to talk about tornadoes or not. This tornado was so strong it made me poop. Oh, absolutely. Give me a laugh. I needed laughter. I pulled in and I'm tired. My granddaughter two of them were here. The other one's in bed. They brought my wife back from the store. And my son says, Lyric, that's my middle one. She says, you're mad. I said, no, I'm just tired. I'm not smiling, I guess. Well, there was a lot of that, Steve, because of planted bombs and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I am so very sorry. So very sorry. You know, I know you can't get rid of those. But hey, I've got to get off here. Y'all have a great morning. It's now morning officially. We flipped over and come be with us again. If not in the morning, tomorrow night on, or not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow night. What is tomorrow night? Wednesday. Yeah. Yes. Hump Day News. Crazy. We talk about odd stuff. It's a little different program. Crazy news. Tornado warnings for today and next weekend in Florida. Thanks for our updates. Absolutely. Appreciate you, Cook. Y'all have a great night. I do got to go. I've got to get up early, got to get some things done. And I could go a lot longer, but I'll be paying for it in the morning. So on the night, one night I'm gonna go really late. I'm gonna go like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm gonna get those hours where Cook's on TikTok singing songs, right, Cook? Anyway, good night. God bless. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for support.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.